Oh, how are you?
Good. Outnumbering.
You pick one, three,
So this is a return
four.
from our last meeting.
Right, with the railing and
railings.
everything.
Oh, six, right.
So we had a railing in the stair, right, this year? And how much do I?
And well, it was all the way around the back, just details around what was happening on top of the garage and.
Yeah.
I must have missed
This, if you start from the top, we have a grass, sort of a garden roof. That's a convention center in New York City, so it's a lightweight. And we have 30-pound, essentially weight about 4.7 pounds square foot. And we have a metal.
Is that the Javits Center?
I'm sorry?
Is that the Javits Center?
Yeah. It's the same system that we're going to put on the roof. Yeah, a couple other products, we're just gonna price them out equally, but they're about the same. One is, and then, in terms of the railing,
How many of you were here for this applicant? I missed this one.
What are we doing?
This was last meeting.
Yeah, it was basically, we had approved everything other than the railing.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if I
Essentially, it
missed
was,
this.
yeah.
I'm
that
just
was-
gonna go, first is
That's fine.
the railing and the top, and then I'm gonna show the section on the railing is the wire railing. And this is just to showing it, it's a nice see-through thing, so the neighbors and everybody else can see the garden right through. But
And what is the photograph that you have of this vertical?
it shows the bracket. It shows how the bracket takes it out and the gutter is here so that it keeps the walls underneath pretty clean. And that will be just the wire railing instead of this. Whenever you go post down, it's guaranteed to leak. For those who have not seen the house, here's the house,
Yep.
3 sides. And this is the garage. But the key thing here, reason I can't detail the stair properly is that we have this rock that cuts right into the corner. And I explained to the client we put the garage wall and then we price out between a steel stair versus a concrete and fill, because this area here is and if we do steel, we can keep the old look rock on the side. We don't have to fool around and put the dirt against it and everything else, so it retains the character as much as possible. But this is really the what I call the. It's very hard to do it on a drawing. That actually, I have to get over this rock in order to get that working.
So you're gonna fit a 2-car garage between the existing garage and the ledge?
Yes. Those are the dimensions in the plan.
Okay. I mean, it just looks like it's about 14 feet
Oh no no.
from the garage to that ledge, no?
It looks less, but it's actually
bigger.
the dimension 20, actually a 30 foot. No,
20,
24,
24.
yeah, down to the inch.
Okay.
We had a survey done right before this,
Okay.
before we started. So.
I mean, just
So
for
everyone was
perspective,
fine with
the
the
main reason we're
structure,
doing
it's
this is
just
it's
the
very
railing?
difficult to make
I
that
don't
turn
know
from
here,
the
I want to make
Is
it
that
about
all
30
we're-
again.
it's
So
just
you
the
guys
railing?
satisfied? I don't want to
Are
make it
you
about
guys
30
Yeah,
This structural system is on this board.
Yeah.
It's just completely non-existent on the drawing.
oh, there weren't railings.
Correct. Yeah, there were
So,
no.
Okay.
Are these the drawings, so to speak?
These are the original drawings.
I had tried to avoid getting too far along the line before we had the zoning meeting, and that's why I was
So have they been, guys, have they been added successfully compared to the old drawings? You satisfied with them?
here's the section, the new section, and this is the fill behind the rock. Here's the railing detail on the edge. Sorry. That's okay.
Yeah, okay, this is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is the full structural analysis with my structural engineer. We're still working on a couple of little spots. And here's the railing all the way through. The only thing that's missing is the gate, where we're gonna put the gate to get up on the roof.
So all sides have a railing.
All sides are railing. Because like I said, I have difficulties of determining what's the cheapest way of getting around the corner
Okay.
and to keeping it looking nice.
Alright, well, if there's a change, if during construction you end up making some changes, he's gonna tell you to stop and bring it back to us, so just so you know.
Correct. No, it's either gonna be concrete exactly the same amount, or it's gonna be steel the same. So the profile is the same, except that the fill from this side, the landscaping is.
But you can get an approval for something now, and if it changes, you'll come back to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I want to change the layout, but it's
Okay.
the,
Okay,
it's just a matter of.
So is the drawings okay? You guys have
yeah, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I was just a little embarrassed because it was a little early in the game to show all the detail.
Well, good luck with the zoning board.
Do I need it?
No, I wasn't being facetious, I don't know.
No, how's the presentation, same system?
Same thing.
Thank you. Okay, so I can use these.
Pictures are good, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Night.
Just from what it was on the email. The email was 3, there were only 3 on the email.
Residential, yeah.
The cell towers. Yeah.
What's that?
The email, there were only 3, I think.
No, no more. You know what, the link to see the drawing.
Oh, there were only 3
The
on the list.
submissions,
Oh,
that
okay.
everybody gave me submissions.
I see.
We have our blind dog book there?
I hope so.
Dog book.
Or what?
Oh, this is a sign,
There's a bookstore
and
coming in.
this is a bookstore
Oh.
coming in, it's one of those little signs as you go up King Street, and
Low
it's
budget
pretty
sign.
design, but it's one of, these sort of plasticky signs, and we sort of said, we can't tell you not to, but please, but we asked him to come back with better sign drawings.
Yeah.
But
We have to
we-
go over the signage stuff.
Yeah, but the gist of our response was we liked the sign, but the drawings weren't consistent enough.
I'm gonna go check downstairs
Think about
to
it.
make sure.
Yeah,
I'm
just in
okay.
case, yeah.
Think about
The
trying to
billboard
change
says
it,
we're meeting
yeah.
downstairs.
Oh,
The electronic billboard's got us in room C.
Oh, you mean, oh,
I mean the one
really?
on the,
The cafeteria. What's your name say?
That's
where we're supposed to be
You would be
meeting.
selling like some old,
Like an
like
original-
vintage,
Yeah.
old stuff that was like
Because I
thousands
guess
of dollars.
they
but
wanted
then
us
you would
to
have
be taped.
like
I think they always
choice
want to
property.
get us. In the
I
cafeteria,
guess
not
he's
being
an
taped.
old teacher.
I hope
So who's
not.
down there?
who was supposed to be here?
Maybe
Who
the
pushed us
applicants
up?
may be waiting down there because the
Where's
electronic
201?
board is saying we're meeting down
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that new? I saw this at TV.
So it was just an error
there. It
on
could be
this.
just
Psychic stuff that we were
logistics.
Oh, okay.
maybe up the street a couple spots.
Is he open already?
No, he's not. I don't think.
Okay.
I went by there the other day, I didn't see any commotion in the store, so it
I
doesn't look
drove
like
by
he's
today
got his
too.
Which
shelving
one's
in.
that?
Yeah,
Blind
yeah, it still looks a little bit.
Bookstore.
Which one?
So
The blind books.
where is it?
It's it's the old antique store next to Aura Salon on King Street as you're going up the hill on the left.
Next to what salon?
Aura?
Oh. On the left, okay. Hi.
Hi.
So this is what they submitted the last meeting.
You the owner of the sign company?
On the sign company, yeah.
So there's a,
This is copy,
it's
these are
this
copies, yeah.
stanchion, or
There's a
whatever
lot
you
of
wanna
us
call
here.
it.
Yeah, sorry.
Bracket here, except these book names.
What kind of books does this write?
Used books?
Used books, yeah.
Used books?
Yeah, he's a retired teacher who's been doing this sort of out of his house, and he's
Oh.
decided to,
What's your name?
My name is
Have the
Nick
site.
Rudick.
you know, nice guy,
R-U-D-Y-K.
I mean, he has a blind dog, so.
He has a blind dog, right?
He has a blind dog, yeah.
Okay, so what, do we have new stuff? What?
So I think they were here last time,
Mm-hmm.
and there were some questions, so we're here on their behalf to answer like how the sign's made, why this type of sign was selected, and then I could field your questions on if there were any design issues, and then what
It was more a materials issue than a
material
design
issues.
issue.
So the material selection
As well.
and dimensions, okay.
Excuse me?
And
Oh, the dimensions weren't right,
Dimensions are,
or they
the
just weren't
board is
there.
here. Is it black and white? Is that what you're proposing?
Black and white,
to do?
yeah.
And what do the edges of the sign look like?
They're, it's just a cut
Nothing.
sheet, so yeah.
I think it's
so
like
then-
this, probably. It's the same kind of
Yeah, that's an
material?
aluminum pan, but it'll be similar, I mean, we're using the 1-inch PVC now as a replacement for 1-inch plywood, 3/4 plywood, so,
Package?
What, this is his package.
these are
So-
we just brought examples of like flat, I think that they were like the dimensionality of it was,
Okay,
in
a lot of
question.
it, like, some of the signs you're showing though
Are, they're
are
old.
30 or
I know,
40 years
I know.
old,
So,
okay? Not good.
Well, no,
Main-
not all of them.
No, but some of them are.
the main issue here was,
I don't know
this
which
was like a budget
I don't
decision
know.
for sure.
He has mentioned multiple times.
Okay. So,
No.
So you have vinyl letters on a 3/4 inch AZAC panel?
1-inch thick AZAC panel, yeah.
1 inch thick or is it nominal 3/4?
It's true 1-inch,
Okay.
yeah.
And how is the hooks put together? What's the, there's no construction drawings, right?
Right, so we use a round steel ring that snaps closed, and that is hooked to the bracket,
Are you supplying the bracket?
yes. They have an existing bracket they wanted to
They
use,
do.
but we wouldn't hang something on that bracket, so.
I know we had questions of the dimensions of the letters the last time.
Okay,
They were not listed on the design.
okay, I didn't know that,
So this just hangs freely, or?
freely, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Kind of blowing away.
two-sided, isn't it gonna blow?
Yeah, so the weight of the sign is sufficient enough that it's not gonna flap up. A larger panel with a larger wind load, we put a helper chain on the bottom, secured to the wall, but at this size and then the weight of the panel is fine, so.
And I suggest we all read the signage codes and work on them. Okay? Anybody have a comment? It's okay?
Yeah, other than, yeah.
I mean, the
it is.
graphics
Graphics are
Yeah,
nice,
the
yeah.
graphics are nice.
We understand that, like, our first pitch was something carved or something with dimensional letters on it, but they didn't have it in the budget, and then considering, I don't know what the foot traffic's there, but I think mostly it's people driving by, you wouldn't even catch that dimensionality at
No.
that point, so.
Now, already, we have the same thing that happened last time though. This is centered top to bottom and this one isn't. And so, and the letters aren't, you don't have any dimensions
Not
of
true.
the actual graphics. So
Okay.
that was one of our questions is sort of.
Oh, they brought our like initial proposal copy, this is our submittal,
That's
this
the-
shouldn't, this should
okay,
not have been
okay.
submitted.
Alright, so, that's,
So that's the approved one.
So this one's okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Excuse me, those are,
You want them back or do you
Those are
need
mine.
this, Daisy?
Oh, those are
okay.
yours.
That was submitted originally, so you can keep it.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks, Dave, I really, yeah.
Wait, you don't need those?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we don't want plastic and vinyl, it's up to us to.
I don't think
Let's get
number
together
3
after
is
Saturday
here.
or whatever meeting.
We're trying to push him to do something nicer, and he didn't wanna do it. Yeah, it's a shoestring, I guess.
Retired teacher, so just sell a book, right? Just sell Jack Kerouac.
He did have $1,000 books though, he did say.
I just told him that, he goes,
And-
like,
One of
you
those
gotta-
who pay for
Well,
his.
But he has
You
to
know,
sell
it's-
it.
Rare books or
He has
it's
to
just
sell
like
it.
a library?
there are
on the road.
rarish books like
First edition.
signed first editions as well. Like, I don't think he's got like the Gutenberg Bible in there, but he might have like Norman Mailer's first edition signed or something
Steve
like that.
Allen playing
Number
jazz
3 is not
band
here.
behind.
So this is old Testament.
It's great. It's just,
And they
I listened to it in
have,
college and then I just.
You know, also like
Spotify now, so
inexpensive
it's-
Wait,
Yeah, you can just.
Number 3 is not here.
Okay,
Good evening, gentlemen.
hi.
Yeah, no. You the owners or the?
Yes.
Yeah.
My name's Brad DeMott, I'm the architect, this is Damien Amadeo, he's a builder. We're here before representing Chappaqua favorite residents, Bill and Hillary Clinton. So what we're here to do is a rebuilding of 2 guardhouses. This is a site plan of the property, there's currently a guardhouse here at the front gate, and there's another one in the rear corner. And just a little history, this guardhouse was built back in 1999 when they first moved to the property. And it was done legally with about 5 variances. It's been there ever since. This one was not built with a permit, and but we're assuming it was built shortly after, maybe around 2000, when the Secret Service really got set up there, and they realized that they needed some additional coverage back in this part of the property. So, and both of these are roughly 20 years old. They're in bad shape. Some of them are built like, this one in particular is really kind of built like a shed. It's almost like a plywood floor over framing lumber with no foundation. There's mold issues. And so even the Secret Service guys aren't really, they don't sit in here, they sit in a car out in the parking lot. So both of these, so we have the front gate, this is the picture of the front guardhouse from the street, a couple pictures of the existing house, which is a Dutch colonial. And then just at a bigger scale, these are the 2 guardhouses being proposed. This is the front guardhouse. And again, these are just 2 pictures of the existing guardhouse. This is from the street. This is from the around the corner from the side. And then these are just renderings of the new guardhouse. The new guardhouse is slightly bigger than the existing, and this is the front guardhouse. Because what's happened now is the front guardhouse is shifting over a little on the property, so they also have, the Secret Service has access or visual access to the adjacent property, which is serving as their guest house. So the guardhouse is shifting slightly closer to both the front and the side yard property line, and both of these will need 6 variances for various things: setbacks, building coverage, development coverage, FAR. So the front guardhouse from the street, the idea was to keep the scale that's very small, even though it's almost doubled in size, but we still have a very similar, that piece is very similar to what you see here, and the other pieces, the little wings, are still part of the building, but it's really, the idea was to keep it very modest in scale, and then it ties in with the existing fence, just like this one does.
How does that gate on the right hit the window on the plan?
The gate on the right. So this is the existing gate that's, I believe this is the gate right here that's just off this photo, and that gate is right here.
I know, but point
So
to it on the, you don't show it on the plan, it's gonna hit the window.
Is it here in the corner?
No, it comes right across
Oh,
here.
okay.
It's right in that front corner.
Oh, okay, I didn't know where it was in the plan, so.
Right. And then the rear guardhouse, this is the existing rear guardhouse, which is roughly 6 by 7, and then has a little, just a covered extension on the rear. They're both getting torn down. So the new guardhouse is roughly 6 by 10, which is just the same footprint of this entire, the current guardhouse plus what's the open covered area. And the idea is really we're matching what's there. Siding would be cedar shingle. All the trim would be PVC. Asphalt shingle roof, a very similar brown, which matches these guardhouses, which match the house. The idea is essentially just match what's there, but do nicer versions of them. And then, the understanding, and this is more of a zoning variance issue, but there's these would be removed once when and if the Clintons move, and then the property reverts back to normal status. The 8-foot high fence would come down, and the guardhouses would be eliminated. Removed.
Fine to me, fine.
Nice.
Great.
Tell them we say hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead and make an agreement to stay.
Was that?
You can take the pictures back.
Just make an agreement to stay.
You want to sign, right?
Well,
The ones over
They
there.
said on
These?
an
You want these pictures back?
We're ready-
No, I
we're
thought you
here,
wanted
we're
that
ready
last
for
one.
the
The
agreement.
Secret Service. Yeah.
Oh, this is it.
I don't need any of them.
You need them?
No.
Secret Service just did anything saying they need to do this.
well, you could just feel like they were watching it.
Yeah, I
Probably
know.
my license plate on the file.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do that at the beginning, but that was kind of
sure.
before
Really check
it
everything.
was fast. What?
I'm sure they've security checked everybody, especially wherever he
Yeah,
went.
yeah. Especially
I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah,
I haven't seen either of them in a
used to
while
go to
either.
Starbucks. and-
Yeah, right.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Bill.
House edition or something.
selfie, because
No, call me.
I'm trying to think the last time I saw him even on TV.
I haven't seen it. My son ran into them in the high school for lunch.
Same thing, it's like a
Yeah, like,
hot
it's not these nice
shed,
pictures.
like
Yeah.
August.
Yeah, out there and
I
the whole
think if he's
thing.
been
Should
on.
ask that, that's a good
I haven't
question.
seen him
TV or
on TV,
whatever?
but they're very
Yeah.
quiet. He's there.
Yeah, they've been laying low.
Yeah. So Malvern never showed,
I'm sorry?
Two Cary Drive never showed.
No.
It's just Travis.
Travis, what?
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
I'm Bana Shura, the architect. I'm representing Mr. and Mrs. Goldfarb on this application. So basically, we're adding two-story addition to the side of the house facing the street, and on the left side.
Wait, first we need to look at
Which is the
pictures.
house?
Can
Which
you
one is the house?
take us through?
Oh, okay.
And Foxden is where? I
Off
know,
of-
it sounds familiar.
It's
but-
off of Millwood Road heading towards Mount Kisco. If you're not just
So this is the
Past
house
the church,
and the addition.
before the church, before the Willowbrook Street. Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah,
Is this the house here?
Yeah.
By Indian,
Yes,
Road
exactly.
something, okay.
Foxton Indian Hill. I don't know
Okay.
which is which.
So that's the house. It's as of the brick only on the front, and everything else is siding.
This the house too?
Yes.
How old is the house?
I'm not sure.
I mean, is it
It's
80s or is it 30s? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
80s, yes.
And these are
These
houses.
neighbors, is the side view or? that's
not
just
sure.
a-
Yeah.
no, that looks like good.
Yes,
Neighbor?
I'm sorry.
The side view?
The
That
house is white
is-
all the
Yeah,
other
that's
side.
the side view of the garage coming in, but we're not doing the addition
Must be
here,
the
we're doing the
side.
opposite side.
You're doing here?
Yes,
And that's the back of the house?
that's the back of the house.
And then I guess these are the neighbors,
Some
huh?
of the neighbors, it's hard
Yeah.
to see because there's so
Oh, I know
spread
where,
out.
okay, got it. I know that house.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know right where you are. Okay.
Okay, so we start on the site plan, basically, this is the existing site plan, and we're coming to put the addition on the side and bit back. Also, it's set back, so we keep a window that's existing here clear, and so it's pretty much behind. So when you drive by the house, you'll still see the symmetrical brick section of it, and the addition will be set back a little. This addition was also done previously, which is siding on that side. So I'm continuing now the same material all the way around in the back. So that's the location. The addition consists of expanding, this is existing basement, existing first floor. Right now here is the living room, so we are adding to the side of that. They need additional space. Second floor. I'm sorry, am I?
No, you're fine.
I'm very sorry. Okay. Right, so here's the addition in the basement basically is gonna create a playroom, and we're opening that to make one big playroom and adding a little storage and a powder room in the basement. On the first floor, again, there is a little courtyard here where they have a lot of the compressors and generators, so we're keeping all that intact. The addition is here, clearing that window, and then we're creating an office and another sunroom. So this will be all glass to provide a kind of a section of the house where it's quiet. And then everything else is existing. Everything on that side is totally we're not touching at all. On the second floor, right on top of the addition as well. Right now, there's the existing bathroom staying here. We are renovating. This bathroom is also being renovated, existing bathroom, and that's where we're adding the master suite, nice bedroom, with in the back is the master bath. So in terms of room count, it all stays the same. We're just making this a gym in this area, big walk-in closets, and then adding kind of moving that room over there in terms of function is a little bigger and a better flow for the house. It gives the master suite more privacy. Roof plan and the elevation. So on the front, basically that is the section that exists, which is brick. I'm staying with the same layout. that roof is also the same, it's lowered and it's pushed back. So I'm matching the siding, I'm matching the roof asphalt shingle and the window style as well as the brand, so it's gonna
And
be
that's
a
siding.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's gonna be siding
To
like
match
this.
that side, okay.
Yes, exactly.
The reason the window, the triple window on the left is so off-center, is there a way to center
Yeah, the
it?
spacing on it.
Because we have the bathroom, I worked on that, it's really the hardest thing to do if we're keeping a bathroom. So I canceled, there was a window here, I took that out, I decided not to put a window in order to make it feel a little bit more. Actually here, there is gonna be, the AC equipment would probably do some planting, and with the angle and the fact it's so set back, I don't think it would feel. Believe me, I love symmetry. This was a hard one too, and
Well,
if
the
I
house is
split
so
it into two
perfectly
windows,
symmetrical,
I know.
Could you just do it with a double window in the middle instead?
Yeah, maybe a small one in the bathroom, and yeah.
I tried that. It's hard because of the layout. We had several conversation on that, and I felt this was the least because of this bathroom. And if we want to do that window centered on that space, I either try to split it into 3 windows to keep it more or less in sequence. But being in the shower, I really couldn't do a big window either. So
Maybe
so
you
it would
could do
have to be a
circular
small
up top
circular window. I can
and
put that
double or
back.
something down,
I can put
okay.
that window back if you feel like it will.
Well, it's not only that, when I look at at that room, I know that you've centered that large window on the wall at the bottom, I don't know what way we're facing. But if you look at the opposite side of the room, you have that
That's
niche
centered on
and-
the gable. It's much more important to do
That one's
that.
way off center in the room.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Right, but my point is, when you look at the other side of the room, you don't really need that window to be centered there. It could be centered on the actual wall space without the shelves. I mean, you really,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it really looks shoved to the side there more than.
I mean, the only
I know
thing-
it probably does drive you crazy. I get it, but
Yeah, either that or I split it into 2 windows, which the clients were happy with that also. It didn't even work that
Think
way.
about the side window or the front?
no, the front one.
The front. The side you'll see because of.
I'm talking about the front one.
The side one is really working with the full elevation, and it doesn't matter in the room because.
It wasn't about the side.
Yeah, it's like in the front, it didn't. It's like almost no matter what I did, it wasn't gonna work. See, this is that window centered on the upper
the
window
side- yeah,
that's
the
centered
side's
on the
fine.
gable, so
Yeah,
it
but
had
we're
to
fine
be
with
this way. And that worked out pretty well, and that's the window we're trying to save, and then once you go to the back, it's all glass and it's all
Do you have a rear elevation?
yes, and that's the rear elevation.
The entire house is so balanced and symmetrical, except that one new window.
Except for that window. So I'm happy to split it into,
What happened to
2
that?
windows. It still didn't work because I have to. I mean, help me out. I'll be happy to do anything you like. So if I line up this with that, it's not so much in the room either. It's just it won't line up with anything. So I can do one window, cancel all this, and just do another window here. But that's being in the shower. Again, can't be as big as this. These are almost 24 inch off the ground. So again, it works out. So I thought by putting a nice plant in here, they're actually beautiful plant that we're not taking down. I don't know if they were
But then
in
that
the
blocks
original
the other
picture.
window, if you're talking about a tall plant.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be right here. You see
You mean,
this?
no, the window that
No,
you're
it
keeping.
blocks the
Window on the
other
side.
window.
Which is fine. I don't think it's more to have. I mean, it's rather that or keep a blind wall. I don't think that's a better idea either.
But you're also having compressors there, you said?
Well, yeah, because and you see these plants, they are staying. They're way in front, and they're not going to be changed. So they love them. They're beautiful plantings. So we're not touching this. This tree is in the way of the addition. It's a small tree here, but all that cluster is actually there, and we're keeping much forward. So I don't think in real life when you drive you will feel it, because it's also set back 7 feet back. So it's not like on the same line. I struggled with that, and I had to
Yeah,
make the
just-
best solution.
It just looks like, why did
I
you-
felt keeping the same element is a good start, and then with the angle and the perspective, it may not be so sensed.
And why not just one double hung under the outer double hung and just leave that one blank?
Right, I could do that, then you have this whole thing blanked, then it made sense to center with this, which I can play with these, I'm very
Yeah,
flexible.
I-
And center the shower and make
Yeah,
it
do a
a
smaller
short
window
window
there.
there. I'm perfectly happy with that, and we discussed this with the client, so I can make that change if you like, I can do it
I would do
You can
that.
make that change.
right now.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
sort of draw it on and come back.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
no problem.
thank you.
Why did you go to hand drawing all of a sudden?
I only do hand drawing on the elevations. I feel the computer drawings, they're still too rigid. I've been doing this all my life, but we do everything else with CAD. The elevations, the rendering, I still do them by hand. Yeah. It's faster, believe me.
Yeah.
You design it and draw it at the same
Oh,
time.
yeah, if you're
While
fast,
you design
yeah,
it, you give it to
absolutely.
someone else to do the CADs. It feels lifeless to me still. Or you spend much more time to get it alive, so.
Yeah.
Somebody give you these two,
Yes,
and
and I
the
update,
changes,
add changes on those, okay.
and then they'll
Bring
approve
it
it,
back?
they'll bring it with
Okay,
them.
absolutely, perfect, thank you so much. So I need to come back, yeah, make the change and come back?
Yeah,
Okay.
tonight.
Oh, no, tonight, I know.
And sign each change, bubble it and sign it for
Yeah.
initial or whatever.
Before the next one, do you wanna, Travis, you were at the planning board, do you wanna share with everybody?
They didn't like the design.
No, it's
But
like,
it was, but from a perspective that, and I didn't know this, there's a design overlay in Millwood.
hello.
Again.
This is the one that came the last time.
Pick a design, any design.
You haven't made changes. This is,
Actually, I made changes since the last approval. And I'll show you.
approval.
Yeah,
Plan.
The
No.
plan,
Oh, not the
There
plan.
was approval, we
We said
gave
we
a
were going in the right
conceptual
direction.
Oh, okay,
direction of
okay,
design.
okay.
We were also unaware at the time that there was Millwood design guidelines, which we'll all get familiar with.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I brought the design guidelines. That's about it.
Actually, it's about this.
Yeah, well, this is the part that's the back, that talks
Well,
about
there's also about,
architecture.
there's also about materials.
Yeah.
Oh, not just that page, yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see,
oh,
we've
yeah.
got the four of them.
Here they are, yeah. But while we're talking about that, it talks about more of what they don't want in Millwood, or even here in Chappaqua. Big horizontal buildings with flat roofs made out of stucco with a lot of glass. And I think, right, I mean, this is what they're calling the horizontal approach. They would like it more vertical. And I was around when they wrote this thing. And this was the model for a street. And this is the Grilly Country Store. And we took that and put it into the Millwood guidelines. And then over the years, I think in '91 it got changed to what it is now, this. But again, it was, we have individual sites, individual properties, individual owners. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into putting together a building, and the owner's requirements are just as important, I think. It's his property, and we're not Russia telling him what he has to do. However, what I do want to show you is that when we started out with don't mind me tonight, because we started out with a stucco thing. All right, and then we developed it to more of a stucco thing with some accents at the entrance. And then we developed it to a wood-sided addition with something in the middle. Because everybody was saying you're not allowed to have horizontals. And then we developed it to this. This was the last one that I showed this board, and it said, "Well, it looks like maybe you're getting there, getting the idea." What I did and this is what we showed the planning board, and we found out that the planning board said, "Oh, we don't like this either." And my problem is that in the rules and regulations, in the guidelines, in the code, when it comes to an area plan, an overlay plan, this board, has jurisdiction, not the planning board.
What were the planning board's comments? I wasn't able to attend.
Yeah,
What did they say to you?
well,
I'm asking you, what did you take away from them?
I took away from that meeting that Tom Curley is trying to be the architect for the town. And doesn't like this design, after we've worked it and worked it and worked it and come up with lots of different things. He doesn't, and for what reason, I don't know.
Did he articulate anything?
He thinks it's a storefront, a west, you were there, western a western movie set.
It kind of does.
It kind of feels. Partly is the coloration.
Well, again, this is the color of the building and we
Yeah, but you're reciting it.
we can make it any color we
Yeah,
want.
right, yeah.
I mean, but let's talk about mass and form and
And I don't think it was just Tom, and I think it was the entire group or the entire board. And I think that they were looking at, and Sabrina even put it wrote the memos regarding the Millwood design overlay.
Yeah.
And that,
This is,
and you just said that you were aware of the guidelines. Was it
right, I have.
was it you were just gonna ignore them from the start?
No, I mean, not actually, I don't see how any of them, starting with the very first one, I don't see how any of them are out of context with Millwood guidelines. They're not horizontal buildings, they're not big masses of glass and stucco, they're not parapeted walls, just like 3 of the buildings already are in Millwood. It's obviously, you know, it's 2 little buildings, it's a little building on the property. As a matter of fact, the frontage of the property is 3 times the width of this building. It's a little tiny building on the site. It's not one of these buildings that needs to be on the sidewalk with, you know, with.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
think there-
what else did he say besides it looking like a, you know, a western?
Well, they said it ended up being, well.
I mean, that doesn't really
I
help
don't
us.
And I
agree.
don't think there was I don't think any of the board was trying to design it at there.
Did they give
They
any
were-
specific
they were-
critiques? Did they,
Like, was it the middle, was it the?
I just don't like it, or they
Yes,
said?
it was
look,
basically that they weren't,
They wanted it to look
Yeah.
like this.
They wanted a peek in the.
Well, the challenge, look, if you look at the residential buildings, I know I was on the board at that time, you know, they're very vertical, right? And I know we had a lot of comments to them to make sure the doors were in the front and the sidewalk and all that stuff.
They look nice.
They do look nice. So
I wasn't on the
if
board.
they're
They're
looking
talking
at
about
doing
the
something
townhouses.
vertical, the townhomes, if you're starting with the existing shape of these 2 buildings and the project program is to fill in between, well, you've kind of got something horizontal to begin with unless you're extending upwards.
Right.
So you're not ripping the roofs off, I don't think, and changing them, so
Yeah, there's also,
there's some level of it's kind of going to be
Do you
more
have a
horizontal,
picture
right?
of the current?
Yes, right
Oh.
here. There you go.
So it's,
You know, the homes are less
really
vertical
just that,
individually
yeah.
and you're stretching it across.
this is the
so
back
it's
of the
really about
building.
the connector. I mean, it's
What's
not making
already
that many changes.
on the back of the building are these flat roof additions that are already there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I still don't like the fact, you know, again, I
Chuck, are you
understand
putting all the
program,
equipment
but
on the roof? Is
there's no
that what I
front door
see?
here, there's no
Okay.
front door here, it's a building with one central, like an office building, as opposed to these buildings and the other ones, which, you know, have their own pronounced residential streetscape door, but that's not as
This, one's a restaurant, one side's a restaurant, one side's an office, one side's a retail upstairs office. But this is the back already existing, I haven't put the windows in because I don't know where.
Right, but you know, if furthering an unpleasant existing condition is never really a good excuse.
That's unpleasant, that's another thing.
Yeah, you know, back there. Chuck, it's, all I'm saying is showing the back is not like furthering the argument in any way.
I started skimming through the Millwood documents, and I
Yeah.
thought there was somewhere where it talked about not wanting to enter from the back, that they wanted it through the front.
Absolutely, that is that.
And this design is really set up where the front is really just a curtain, because no one's gonna walk in the front.
Well, I worked on that, but it is true, it says to encourage irregular buildings formed with creation of pedestrian walkways and courtyards to avoid the creation of unimaginative strip development. I don't know if this would fit into that category. It said orient buildings towards the street side of the property, with rear entrances to be used only for service and safety purposes. I think that has to be out of here. I mean, in this, if I were going to design to that, I would put the building in the back and have a little strip in the back for the service and emergency, and have all the parking in the front, and the building would face front. I don't think that clause belongs here, because I don't think
But
anybody
you have to
wants
try
that.
respectfully to separate yourself from, you're an architect and a talented architect, and you've been involved in lots of things in this community for a long time, I know, and you have your opinions and views on things, as opposed to now, you're trying to service your client and you wanna, he's a business person and he wants to do a business that happens to be part of a construction project. You know,
Yeah.
those things don't always
Which-
marry with each other.
Well,
you know.
again, it's also, it's only 20% of the coverage, not anywhere near the 50%, I guess, gateway, or, if it says in the guidelines, if you're working on a project, you increase the coverage by 50%, then you have to follow everything. It's only 20, it allows you 380 feet of a connector. And the impacts to the hamlet, or to Millwood, I have to say, I don't see
Oh, it
the
is a
impact.
gateway into the community, that street is a gateway into our community.
Well, I don't know, if you have to take a look across the street and see all those cranes, and I mean, the gateway, I don't know where the gateway is.
The road itself is a gateway into our community, into half our community.
Well, it's a road through our community, it's Route 133. And, you know, it hooks up to the corner where let me just do something here. I don't know if you've guys been reading record, but here's a little building, if you guess the architect, you could win a prize.
Adolph Loos?
I thought it was Breuer. Who do you think?
I think Adolph Loos.
Now, and the idea was, you know, get rid of all of the decoration.
I think
and-
you're right.
What is it?
Who is it?
Loos. L-O-O-S.
I don't know.
He's Doug.
Oh, you don't know?
Win a
No, because it's a contest, there's no
it's a
answer.
contest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can't scan it or something and look at this?
Just 1 second, I got the latest version.
I can see anyone, I gotta just have a thought process from it.
Alright, well, there was the latest version. I wanna show you what I've done based on one of your comments a while ago.
So the guidelines to you can do flat roofs.
Of course, yeah.
Because to me, it reads, when it talks about harmony and unity, subsection A, roof lines, it talks about buildings with flat roof and parapets are not acceptable.
It's a, but
I mean-
what makes a building? In other words, I think when they use the word
We're
building.
not, I think semantics about what a building is not what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Villa Moore, Adolph
More
Loos.
of a mass almost from the street though,
Is it?
for that, right?
Well, it makes a uniform building.
Yeah.
That's not the same one.
Not the same one, but I think that he's right about
Well,
the
no, but then it
architect.
says he founded a school, so that's not,
Yeah.
I don't think that's Lowe's.
Okay, we're off on a tangent.
Wait, hold on. Maybe-
Nice
hold on,
smoke
maybe
screen.
Macintosh. Hold on a second.
I just,
Is it American? It's not American, it's a
No
European.
way.
no.
Let's try Macintosh.
Since you're playing with that, I'm not an architect and I don't profess to be one. But if you were to tie these two ridges together with a cross gable and then took a dormer out, would that meet the criteria?
I was just thinking that.
Well, I
You still
I
can keep your
understand.
equipment on the backside by doing a straight wall, so the front is a facade.
Yeah,
the
but
back
then
is-
it's a fake thing like we have on 27 South
Well, it
Greeley.
talks about
you know?
screening all of your mechanicals right there in the next subsection.
Well, the
So-
mechanicals are screened in this particular case. Let me just show you the latest version. And keep in mind, I mean, the board can change their mind, but, you know, we already had people like what we were doing. But what I did is,
We also had only half the board here, so other people could
yeah,
get a
well,
chance to comment.
this meeting is for the rest of the board. But what I did here is I got rid of, I put the doors off of the porch. And now we have a door going into a store directly. We have a door going into a restaurant directly. It's not going into a connector and then finding your way in. What it also does, it pushes this front back even further. And we have the expression of the columns, again, that are occurring here at the porches, which exist, we're closing some more columns, and we hold up the connector. So it expresses the connection, not as powerful, and but it also opens up the entry from the street that makes,
Where's the doors? I don't see them.
they're on the side of the building.
Oh, in here?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
See, I think it'd be, it always is nice on this kind of pedestrian street if it works with the program to have a door.
What are, these are porches.
There are existing porches that we're closing in and making either display window or a eating area for the restaurant.
So
One
this
of
is
the-
gonna be
You're
glass.
gonna deal
This
with
is gonna
the,
be glass.
Glass, yeah, that's glass.
I think one of the way it looks vertical is if you had three separate elements with, in a sense, three separate doors in there, it might.
Oh, come on, we're trying to make it vertical? You're trying to make it look like this? No, thank you, that's kind of boring.
But I mean, I think the roof is the big, is part of the big problem with all of these is, you have the flat roof, you have the flat roof, you have the flat parapet, you have the flat parapet. I mean, I Tom and, and Travis were thinking about a cross gable. What if you did a true cross gable and then there's other flat roofs to relocate the equipment? Again, I don't know anything about the project, but I see there's two
Yeah.
rear yard flat roof structures already that you could put the equipment there, screen it off.
We'd have to screen it with parapets, I would think.
Well, yeah, screen it off, and then you don't get a fake western gable. You get a true cross
You
gable.
get a, by the way, these,
And it doesn't have to go to the top of the ridge. It can go a little bit lower.
yeah.
It almost looks like I can see it now, and it's just missing from that image.
I am with you, but that roof is kind of important to me.
Jason,
That roof in the middle is kind of important to me. All of my utilities are directly below that, all of my bathrooms, everything.
I know, but that's just venting, right? You're talking about HVAC equipment, right?
HVAC, yeah, and all of.
What is everybody getting separate compressors?
Yeah.
What's
What's
that middle
Affect
big
that.
box there?
Skylight, somebody wanted a skylight to drop light down through.
We could have a big skylight in the back and a dormer in the front. What is that big box in
I'm
the middle?
afraid,
What's that big box in the middle?
that's the skylight,
No, this one.
that's the roof hatch. Oh, no, that's the generator.
It looks the same except.
So if you have so little lot coverage, why can't you locate the generator on the ground like most people do?
Yeah, well, we have the neighbors next door. We have eating areas out here, and, and then the rest is.
Right, but you have sound issues with that generator on the roof too. You gotta vibration isolate the hell out of that, so it doesn't.
Yeah, well, look, it's not bothering, it won't be bothering the neighbors, it might be bothering the tenants, but not the neighbors.
Yeah, it's gonna go off, once a
Is
week
there
at
a
least?
neighbor in between this and their other property, the nursery?
No,
Or that's the, okay.
south.
You're talking about the other side, the
The residential
townhouse.
property,
Yeah, yeah.
right on the line. Yeah,
I mean, are there windows here? There are no windows here, right?
no.
So why don't you just screen this off and locate all that equipment there?
Well, you
I mean, your
can.
bathrooms are just, you've got vents, you've got sanitary vents. What else?
Yeah,
The water's all coming from below, the
And I
drains are
got
all
the
going
skylight,
below.
and I got the stairway, I got the
But
upstairs
you
hall.
can solve that with a skylight on the gable and a dormer in the front.
Yeah, you can, but go to the garden center right on the corner. It's a bunch of little buildings with a flat roof. I mean, you.
But if they have to update it, it might look a lot different
Oh
than it
no,
does
you're
now.
telling me? No, that's just going a little bit too far to say that I have to put peaked roofs on every building.
But from the planning board, they're saying they want you to follow the Millwood guidelines,
This is
which
what the
I
guys-
guess-
I mean,
But
this is what we-
then we'll ask the zoning board to make a decision on that, because I can't tell you a 17-foot wide flat roof is not going to destroy a guideline. Not at all. I mean, go up to the Talbots, you see that thing? I mean, you see Talbots, you see it has a flat roof and what's wrong with, I mean,
We
it's
could
not
go-
a building with a flat roof.
Here's the
That's
thing,
not
we can
Millwood.
go find, we can go
It's not
find
Millwood.
buildings to support your
This is
case.
Millwood guidelines, right?
Well,
But here's the thing, it talks about New England villages, central business districts like Scarsdale, Bronxville, Scott Center, West Palm Beach, I mean,
Have you seen Scott's Corners?
but here's the thing, we can go find a building that supports your case anywhere. But what we're trying to do is,
Well, you have to
what's the
show me,
guidelines?
you have to show me a street that has nothing but peaks in it.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
What do you, have you
It's downtown.
worked on anything for rear elevations and fenestration since?
No.
It looks like your design is intending to make that your front entrance for people to use.
Yeah, but there is a rear entrance. I mean, there is a whole rear entrance. I mean, but I'm trying to,
from
somebody
the-
said people walking on the sidewalk should go into the door, so we make doors.
True.
But we know the rear entrance is the busy entrance, it's the everyday entrance, because we're in the
That's where the
suburbs.
parking is.
That's where your parking is.
Well,
So
if you had a
why-
nice landscape walkway, maybe people would walk around to the front.
Well, we do have that. Here's the landscape walkway, right here. Goes right around. Or from here around. But but we know the way things work. The buildings go up front and all the parking goes in the back. If you get rid of cars, we can maybe make a hill down here without having to worry about that. But that's not the way it works here. And I don't know if, and we've been up and down that street for 45 years. And I see people walking on that sidewalk, mostly with red gas cans in their hand because they ran out of gas, they're going to the gas station to fill up. That's not a busy sidewalk. I don't care. And somebody's-
I've never seen anyone walk on
Yeah,
that.
and now we're talking about making it walkable. And that doesn't work.
Well, because it's a segment, if they connected the sidewalk to the
To what?
sidewalk that goes here, you know, frankly, out on the western side of town, I'd love to have a sidewalk on 120C. You could take your bicycle safely or walk to the grocery store and stuff. But you can't do it now because
Well, you can't ride a
they
bike
haven't
on a
built the
sidewalk. You can't ride a bike on a sidewalk. It's not
I'd
allowed.
walk a bike on the sidewalk.
Chuck, when you first read that excerpt, it said for service and for safety. The
Yeah.
tenants entering the back is for a safety concern because they don't want to walk along that roadway.
Well, no, they want the building to be orientated with no parking in the back.
Where are you parking?
Across the street, where,
In
on
the
the
front.
street?
Well,
On the
no.
street.
the zoning guidelines, it looks like they're written for new construction. as
Yeah,
opposed
because
to
then you have
renovation.
to tear the building down.
Well, the funny thing is, the first design idea had the thing in the back. Here's the site. I mean,
Which I don't think anybody wants to push a building in the back, even if you're
Of course
starting
not.
over. you know.
we had a building back in this corner. We had a parking lot that went across and connected to the Millwood Garden Center. We had a whole pile of trees and park in the front. And we had a little alleyway in the back for business, and people would walk, but we were told, no, that doesn't work, because we want you to have the thing on the sidewalk. Even Millwood Guidelines goes ahead and contradicts this. It says they want this thing a certain number of feet back for a certain distance, and then you have to step it again if you go through all of those guidelines. They're trying to almost. It's not a legislation, it's a guideline, but they're trying to get a look of a cute little village. And a cute little village has, and just like Chappaqua, guess what? It used to be all single-family houses, and people turned them into businesses and put additions on them. And boom, now you got a little village. But now we're trying to make this thing, and I hate to tell you this, we're trying to make this thing feel a little bit like Chappaqua Crossing, with everybody walking on a street, parked in front, and going in the front door. But go to Chappaqua Crossing now, guess what? All the cars are behind those new buildings that whatever, the pet center and all that other stuff. And there's a back door. And the beauty of that is that, not beautiful, all big retailers that draw people to this facility don't want back doors. They want their building tucked back, parking in the front, only service in the rear. Just like every strip center in the world. Now, this is, that's neither here nor there. What we're talking about here is a little flat roof that's 17
Did
feet
you
wide.
you didn't show them this one, you showed them this.
No,
This was
because-
this was post the
That's
planning
correct.
board.
And it was based on a few comments that the chairman made about, remember we wanted to put all glass there. Well, all glass doesn't work in the guidelines. But a window you asked last time. I said, well, what if we get rid of the wall and have the doors quite available to the people off a porch? That's the latest. And you are the governing body here. I mean, it's really pretty clear. Planning board works on site, you work on the buildings and signs. This is up to us to figure out, nobody else.
Have you done a version with a pitched roof?
He did. There's,
No.
no, it's not, it's just a
Why
facade.
not?
I refuse to do that because it's not authentic. it's decoration, all architecture's decoration, but I got a reason for a flat roof.
Because
I
the
got-
You
equipment
can
has
have
to go there.
both. You can have both.
No,
What's
I
your
would-
reason,
I
why
want
do you
you
have
to-
to,
I
why do you
want
have
you
to
to
have a
say-
flat roof?
I want you to say that that's not a horizontal building, and that flat roof is of such a magnitude that it's no bother to anything.
I'm not saying that a pitched roof is the perfect solution, but we haven't even seen that option
Well, guess what?
to look.
I'll take that roof and I'll pitch it,
And I'd like to see it.
It might
it'll
look
still
better.
be flat.
And I'd like this to feel like an.
You talking about a peaked roof, and that's a different story.
Like a central.
I'll take that roof and I'll pitch it, and it'll fit the category, it'll be sloped.
My issue, I can.
Yeah,
live with
but
this
there's,
disconnect.
I mean, you've got to at least match some of the slopes. If you do a cross slope, you're gonna have to match the slopes of the existing roof.
Well, I've got, that's what I got in the back.
I'm not talking about the back, I'm talking about the front.
Yeah, well, I'm saying,
Wait, so you said you have to have a flat roof, right? Didn't you say that?
me personally,
Yeah.
I want the design to look like a connector, not another building. That's it, it's that simple.
So why wouldn't a cross gable look like a connector?
Well, because now that you throw in the fact that I want skylights and all my equipment up
You
there,
can have a skylight on a slope, on a gable roof.
and all my equipment, no.
You have two perfectly flat roofs in the back that you could put your equipment on.
No,
Why not?
Yeah.
because I'm gonna parapet them to hide the equipment.
Yeah.
Break here.
Yeah.
Well, you're buying parapets there.
I
You're
don't know,
redoing the
this is-
whole,
this
you're
is
redoing,
tough.
you're gut renovating this whole place, right?
I'm gut renovating, yeah.
And you can't put a screen wall around two existing flat roofs?
Yeah, why? It's gonna look like another flat roof. With a parapet.
You have a flat roof that's in the back of the building.
Yeah,
One other,
I mean, I think
what?
we agree that this one is
I think
an
this is an
improvement
improvement
over this. It
More
feels
than
less
five.
commercial and,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
well, what's the next step? We could do more. But the essence of this thing is, if we, let's try to keep that flat roof.
And I don't wanna keep the flat roof, so don't say we wanna keep the flat roof. I don't wanna keep the flat roof. You have two flat roofs in the back, keep those flat roofs. Put your equipment there and do something interesting on
Well,
top.
I gotta tell you something, I mean, I hate to do it, but I don't agree with that.
Okay, and that's why you keep coming back. I've seen you three
Well,
times. and-
wait, I've got 5 different ideas here, different ones, I'm not exactly stuck on one idea, I'm
It's-
stuck with a flat roof.
It does look like the same idea.
Well, yeah, a connector with a flat roof. I mean, do I have to go take pictures of all of the little buildings with flat roofs and say that we're not allowed to do that in Chappaqua anymore? I don't think so.
No, rules do change sometimes.
Say what?
Zoning rules change all the time.
This is not zoning, this is guidelines.
Okay, guidelines are
And we're
often
talking about- we're talking about-
Guidelines are often implemented when people want to do things differently. So don't say you don't have to comply with the guideline, if a guideline's been put in place, you have to
I
comply
think the
with it.
guidelines have to change, for example, the guidelines.
That might be true, but this is what we've got now, that we've got to deal with.
Still, by the way, this was done in 1991 or something like that. In 1991, they talked about the lighting in the parking lot had to be CFI 90, which is like that's the color ratio.
CRI.
And everybody, that's not, no, 90, I don't know who invented 90, but that's the highest possible light you can get. And they use it in babies, in neonatal nurseries. They wanna make sure the color of that baby is true and authentic. They don't want, but to say 90 for a parking lot was way out of context. To say this, that we're not allowed to do anything in the back of the building is out of context. I'm saying that this whole guideline thing might need to be a little bit reworked.
That might be the case, but
Well,
we're
but
not gonna redo it right now.
Well, yes, you have the authority to make those changes.
Okay, we're not gonna rewrite the guidelines, I don't wanna
I
speak
didn't
for
say
the
that.
board,
I
but I don't think we're gonna be rewriting the guidelines here.
You have the ability to
What he's saying is
alter.
we have the ability to override them.
Or
Okay.
interpret
Or to-
them.
or
I'm not
to-
so sure we do.
Well,
Well, you do.
and I'm not so sure that we want to get into that situation, I'm just saying that, I'm just,
communicating what you think he's saying.
that's,
It says the streetscape guidelines and site guidelines are by the planning board, and the architecture review board will be the approving authority for determining compliance with the signage guidelines and architectural guidelines.
I think what we're telling you is that it doesn't comply, and you're asking us to change the rules. to
I'm
more
asking you
comply.
that, I'm asking you to, can we work together and get that thing to, like, can we say it does not have to be to the letter, it's not a law. I mean, it's not written in some kind of legalese. It's a guideline, and it's architectural guideline. I'm sitting here, I'm a licensed practice, registered architect, doing this for 50 years, and I'm telling you, I mean, we could all have
There's a
differences.
lot of licensed architects.
No, I'm talking about registered.
There's a lot of registered architects.
Can't even say you're an architect if you're not registered unless you're AIA. But I'm sitting here saying that I'm in practice in this town for 57, and I've got to have some kind of standing here. I've made my living here. I've raised my kids here,
So have other people in the room.
and practiced my profession here.
So have other people in the room.
And oh yes,
Did you help write the guidelines?
actually I did. Yeah, that's what these drawings were. This is one. They took the building I did for the.
So you wrote the guidelines.
No. I of course not. What I did is I supplied some of the character. I mean, if you go up to Talbot's, I did that back in the 70s. If you see that, Talbot's building a little flat roof, a little railing. I mean, that fits.
But this is 2019 and we're doing this. We're
And
not
that's
doing
Chappaqua,
Talbots anymore.
not, you know.
Chuck, we're going in circles here, let's wrap this up.
Well, I really think, I would like to make a request that we take the idea of a flat roof.
I hate the flat roof. I'm on
I
record
don't like
for
the
that.
flat roof
I
either.
hate the flat roof.
I might like
There's
it.
many options to move the equipment. I don't hear any argument why it has to be a flat roof.
I might like
Other
the
than
flat.
you're stuck on having the flat roof.
Because it's
You're
an
so
architectural.
stubborn with the flat roof.
It's
I don't
an
know why.
architectural thing. It's architecture.
So is a gable.
Well, I don't need to keep the snow and the rain off of the building. I can do it with a flat roof and then at the same time
Sure.
put the equipment on there. It
So
serves two
you've been
purposes.
very good at trying a number of different designs, and it's been helpful. Why don't you take a look at putting a gable and
Well,
see what
because
that
I
looks like?
started with that. That was start number one. I eliminated
Did we see
a
that?
long time ago. No,
Okay.
I saw it sketch paper somewhere. But
So why don't you bring it in the next time?
why? Because you're gonna like
Because
it. I'm not gonna like
some
it.
people are interested in seeing it.
Because here's the thing.
No.
You might bring that in and we might like the flat roof after you do that.
Oh, come on. You're gonna love it because it's gonna look like this. And you're gonna say, oh good, I don't have to worry. I'm not gonna be, I'm not going out on any limb. I'm meeting the guidelines. Nobody's gonna yell at me. Come on.
Architecture is solving
think anyone's
complicated
worried about
problems,
that.
okay? I think we can do this.
Nobody's noticed that particular expression of that particular form that's underneath there and the use that's underneath there and that roof match.
I don't know how a roof is somehow associated with what happens on the inside of that.
Well, inside this building, I have,
I don't know the
the
relationship.
ceiling goes up in here.
So,
This
so if
particular
there's a
building-
swimming pool underneath that, what does the roof look like?
Well, it could be a flat roof.
Or it could be a pitched roof. Or it could be a wavy
Well,
roof,
it depends.
like
It
waves.
depends on what
I
the
mean,
snow load is. It depends on a million things. I mean, come on. I mean, it depends if you need light in there. It depends what the structure
I think
is.
we are kind of going circles. We hear you, and I don't
No,
think we're
I-
agreeing with you respectfully, so.
I am.
And I might add, we've been a lot more respectful to you than you've been towards us.
What? Please.
Those are
Oh, what? Which one?
That and that's mine.
That one?
Okay.
So,
So is this the last one you're proposing
Lordy.
to us so that I have it on record?
That's the last one you have on record, but this one.
no, I think that one is.
Well, this is the one that you
And this
were
is the-
okay with, but
Yeah.
for today, which is
And
the
it
one
was
that?
over-
Is there a formal submission that you would like to give to the board and to Daisy today for something
Well-
new? That's the last thing we've seen.
Yeah, but this.
Okay, so let's take that on the record as the
This
most
one?
current design
Yeah.
submission.
Okay, this is mine, this is mine, this is yours.
And then we meet again in 2 weeks, and we're happy to see you again.
And with. I'd like to poll the board, if you don't mind.
What's the poll?
I'd like to poll the board as to, this is not an approval, but it's a direction. I think we made it, forget about all these other little things. Let's talk about flat roof. And you tell me, does that flat roof impact the development of that Millwood hamlet? I'd like to have somebody tell me if, yes, I'd like somebody to give me their opinion. I'm not talking about meeting the guidelines that I'm meeting, but does it, this as a building, as a 390 square foot addition to a building with a flat roof, does that impact and harm the neighborhood and do all the things that you're I guess asked to do?
Also, what nobody wants to say. Well, look, I understand that you're trying to take two buildings and connect them because the two buildings exist. But in terms of the spirit of the Millwood Hamlet guidelines, which again, I first was submitted this week, I wasn't even aware of them. Trying to create this cutesy village as you describe it, I think it does hurt that. It is not in the spirit of that. You asked me a question, I gave you.
Yeah, because the roof doesn't look like the
Because it's not in
guideline.
the spirit of the profile and the proportions of that kind of cutesy village. That's what I think, you asked my opinion. Is anybody else care to share or not?
Yeah, I mean, gable roofs were made for rain and snow load and to shed water and shed snow. And then when the technology developed that you could build a flat roof with all the new types of materials and things, then you could build a flat roof, and the modern architecture brought that on too. So you are straying from the gable roof as a kind of a construction of, you know, with a history to it and a reason for it and a practical reason for it. I mean, you're putting a 20th century flat roof in between the two, and that's why there's the mismatch in the aesthetics. And I don't think you get that. And you're stuck on the damn flat roof. I don't know why. I don't know why.
I'm stuck on a connector that's not, it's not an office, it's not a store, it's not a house, it's not a restaurant, it's a connector. It's a corridor.
Why can't a gable 90 degrees be a connector too?
I can.
Yeah,
Everything on top of it is
You have a ridge line that
extraneous.
physically connects one side to the other. It references a gable roof which sheds water and snow, just like every other cutesy little village did with gable roofs.
Yeah.
And not a 20th century flat roof with a flat roof drain and a flat skylight and
Well, you walk-
condensers on the roof.
Well,
I think to be productive,
yeah.
maybe you should show us some sketches for that, to include that. Otherwise, we're gonna be here all night,
Yeah.
we're not really gonna
Well,
go anywhere.
Chuck, if
So-
that connector was not connecting anything, it was going off on either side of a single building, we would not allow a flat roof, I would per se. You know, if it's just an appendage or an addition to a house off one side, you would want a different type of roofing. I think that's what they.
And we would do it. It would, but if it was like somebody's bedroom, in addition to a living room, a family room, house, it's a house. This is rather utilitarian. And that's why I love the flat stucco, the clear, just totally, just cheaper than hell look. You know, without the decoration, without any of that. It was sort of a opposite of the wood and the column and the trim that was on the porch. I think it's a philosophy, it's just a philosophy. I'd like to hear your opinion.
I'm kind of caught in the middle, cause I'm not necessarily convinced that a gable roof will be the answer. But I'm
I'd like to
hearing
see it,
everybody
though.
else's
I'd like to
concerns,
see
so
it.
I would like to see it.
Well, the beauty about it, the funny thing about a gable roof, 90 degrees to it. I'm down on the street and I've got a pitch on the thing. You're not even gonna see the roof. At least when you're on the sidewalk, you're gonna look up there, it's gonna look like, it's gonna be a straight line because of perspective. I will draw a roof like that. I will draw the perspective. And then you can decide, because I think when you're down on the street, it's not gonna look like a roof anyway.
Given the angle of inclination you're looking at it,
Yeah,
you will be
maybe
right.
from across the street, you know, out in, you know, on the bike path, you could see it, but,
You'll be able to see it from the car.
You will be able to see in the car.
well, we'll
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
We'll put the eye level down at 3 feet on the car and we'll look up, and see what it looks like.
Give it a shot, sure, like Travis said, maybe by doing it, you'll convince us that the former is
Can I
better.
convince you? I don't think so. You are hung up on the Millwood guidelines that it has to be pitched roofs, and I don't see where it says.
You know what? Somebody worked really hard on those, and you know we don't know all the background about that, but we have to at least pay them the respect that they have because they spent the time to make the guidelines up. We might not agree with it now, but that's for the future generation or the next 20 years to do new
It's
ones.
a guideline, it's a guide, it's not the answer. We're allowed to go through the we're guided by that, and of course, it's not a flat building with a flat roof. Building with flat roof, it didn't say additions with flat roofs were not permitted, it said buildings with flat roofs are not permitted. And this is not a building with a flat roof, it happens to be an addition. Anyway, and you, please, Sarah? I mean,
I have been unsatisfied with the connector between the two buildings from the beginning, as you know, and I think it would be really an interesting idea to see a pitched roof 90 degrees from the other ones, with maybe a dormer or something. I think it's actually a really good idea.
but a dormer, a dormer for what?
We're
Decoration?
not designing for you, we're telling you to
wait,
go
wait.
back and find something that looks.
Well, I tell you, you're making design decisions.
The challenge to you that's being asked is to look at massing the roof in a more interesting way that fits the kind of, I mean, cutesy village, I hate to use this terminology, but it's, as the design guidelines have, something more interesting. We're challenging you
Yeah.
to look at the massing of the roof in some form or fashion, as opposed to doing a more modern, flat, mid-century roof. That's what the group's requesting.
Have you been up to Chapel Crossing? Is that not allowed, you know? I mean, have you seen the flat roofs up there? Have you seen the second stories that have nothing behind them, the cute little windows?
It's not Millwood.
But guess what? It's the same design principles, looking to make a cute little village. I think we want to make an authentic village. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Chuck.
I didn't hear your opinion.
Well, I mean, in the interest of not going in circles, I haven't offered it, but I kind of agree with Ann. I'm not entirely convinced that gabling's going to improve this problematic situation,
Yeah.
but we may as well see it because we're not gonna be able to make a decision without seeing it and weighing the alternatives, so.
All right, thank you.
May 1st.
May 1st. Okay, thank you. I think, because planning board will be a little after that still.
I'm not sure when
Yeah,
the meeting is.
so we'll still have to check. But keep in mind, I mean.
You can do this, Chuck. You can do this.
You may come up with something and say,
Come out of the box, you can do this.
yes, that
no.
this is okay.
All right.
Anyway, we've seen you do
Yeah.
that. Thanks for being so patient with me.
Night.
Good night. You have a hard choice to make, I really see that.
She's gonna just show you the
It's tough
plans
to
so
balance
you can approve
what's, expected of you and what you're professionally trained to do. 'Cause he's not wrong and he's not right, you know?
Well, it's a tough problem because
Yeah.
actually connecting those two buildings
It's a
is
yes.
not in the spirit of what everybody wants to see over there.
Well, you'd have to
Anyway.
throw another dormer coming out to make it 3 roofs. It's gonna be 3 gables to match the granite building to the left of it. They're all gables and they're stacked gables.
It does have the ability to, since if you had 3 monopoly houses and you offset them in the sense,
Yep.
here's a
So
way.
I
You can play with
canceled
that,
the
yes.
middle, left one here, put another
You probably should.
shutter here, this will line up, 2 shutters same, and this would be siding.
So where's the?
Yeah.
But what about
Where's
the
the-
hall window in the shower
Does
wouldn't
that
work?
fit in the shower?
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do, in the shower, we will do a frosted glass on the inside,
Oh,
like a
perfect.
shower enclosure, so it'll look good on the outside. Otherwise, it's gonna look even more fun.
So wait,
than
I'm
that.
sorry, you're getting rid of the middle.
Correct.
Okay, and these two
Two
are
and two,
identical,
same thing.
okay.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
made them
nice.
same
Good.
size as that, so they would look the same.
Yeah,
And I indicated them on the floor plan. So, so we close here, we put a window here, I put the size of the window already, double hung data, signed and dated.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, I think, I agree with you, I went back and forth, but I think that's where it works. And that window has a
Sometimes it
better
helps to
view.
see, have other people look at it.
Yeah, you feel
Unanimous.
like, yeah, it's a big deal, yeah, it's a big deal, okay. Thank you very
Well, and
much.
it's reason for your client too.
No, we
right?
discussed it, they said we had the same debate, like, yeah, I don't know, and then we said this is the least of that. But I think I've done that before, is we put a big shower enclosure in the shower, like you can open it, clean the window, close it, and it's watertight.
You could just
So
frost
that
the
as
inside,
it's
paint
frost,
the
yeah,
glass,
the panel
it's
is
perfect.
literally, I mean, it's a small shower door that they install when they install a shower. And that will allow light in that bathroom, so win-win.
I did that for
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, have a good evening. Thank you.
Are
the
these,
cell tower
is
still?
this here? Barnes Lane is behind Getty?
Yeah, is that
I got it
where
right.
people park to go to get them?
Yeah, yeah.
just looking for the names of buildings and that are out of the blue.
Hard to imagine anyone on that road will own a cell tower.
Does that know? No, she's an architect. I was trying to get,
So where's Barnes Lane? I thought this was going over near the Middle Village.
The other side of
Barnes
Getty.
Lane is, if you,
walk
you're on,
through Getty.
you're taking Campfire.
You know where the baseball fields are? On Getty.
Here you go.
Behind it, there's a
Right here.
trail that goes to Barnes.
But the road itself comes from Campfire.
Yeah.
And you can see,
Yeah, here.
It's a
Here's,
nice, it dead ends right at
here's
Getty.
why is it
Campfire.
going there? Is that the high elevation?
Oh,
guess,
why is
oh.
it going there? I don't know.
Okay, let's see, here's Campfire.
Who's putting it in?
Homeland
There's
Towers.
Homeland Towers, but there's public property?
Are they putting in the
I think-
infrastructure and people are renting space on it, all the different cell
I
companies?
believe so, it's by
like
the
the-
Millwood Filter Tank, I believe.
We've got the
Wait, this
aqueduct
is-
all in that area. Yeah.
I'm thinking, I thought this was Barnes Lane.
Barnes, it's
I-
not the one behind Getty?
No, there's a different one.
There's Barnes Road and Barnes Lane.
Oh, so this is,
So it gets
This is,
okay, Barnes Lane, I have no idea
this
where
is
it
by
is.
the Millwood.
Hate that, I hate those.
This looks so much.
I live at the home.
So this is right, I see.
better, man.
You know what this
Come up
is?
with a better.
This is when you're taking Campfire
dark
to the,
green,
from the
college.
highway and.
Yeah, yeah, like by the Girl Scouts.
look
Yeah,
fine.
no, that's Chappaqua.
Oh, that's, yeah, yeah.
Okay, when you're coming from the highway
Yeah, yeah,
on
I know.
Campfire and. Yeah.
Where, this is on Peconic, so where are you?
To the right.
It's when you get
Yeah,
off.
forget our Getty part.
Yeah, when you get off the.
Forget that, we were,
Yeah.
we were on road or
When
lane
you
or
get off the.
something.
It's by the aqueduct.
You sort of,
Didn't we look at this before?
No, but this is a view from Peconic.
They had,
Yes,
they
that's
had
exactly
brought
it.
in, but they never came.
Where's the exit?
Oh, we looked at it, right?
it's like.
You kinda see it when you're going down the Deconic
I
and.
don't think
Where is this? Oh,
I
Hi, guys.
checked it back.
that could be that
It's here.
service road.
You're looking like from here to here.
Could be the service road by
Are you guys all with the
Early in the year.
company installing this, or who?
Correct. So I'm Rob Godioso. I'm representing both T-Mobile and Homeland Towers. My colleague Neil Alexander is representing AT&T.
You look familiar. Did you
You
do the
look-
last
oh,
cell
yeah.
tower
You did
we had
one-
on the other
you
side
did
of
the one
town?
on,
Yes.
I think we
One,
actually
yeah.
did the last two in town.
on
The
one,
Whippoorwill Lake Road?
No, we
On
did one on.
128.
we-
128.
we did
One was a
128.
big,
That
tip,
was
a
a
lot
big
of people
deal.
objected
That was the
about
to-do.
it was across from the
And,
nursery.
and we
The
did one
police
on
were
Hogs
involved.
Road, also on Hogs
These are the
Cross
visuals.
Road, also next to
Okay.
power lines. That was
I
probably
don't remember
5 or
that,
6
I
years
do
ago.
remember the nursery, that was,
Where are the current cell towers
a
on
lot
that
of
side of
upset
town where
neighbors.
people use their cell phones? Where is it coming from? Are you
Where?
adding to the network, or are you
Millwood?
replacing something?
This is filling in the Millwood area. Is really the purpose for this one. That was, and the reason we didn't come last time is
AT&T.
we were waiting, T-Mobile, Homeland Towers, and AT&T. We were waiting to finish up the visuals because we did a balloon test back in January. So we just submitted the visuals and that's what we were waiting for, so we got a chance to look at
I'll
it.
get some extra reception here.
But it's a piece of property that's between the Con Ed Towers and the Taconic. And it's town-owned property, we did a lease with the town and now we're going through the planning board process.
Where?
That's
is this?
11B.
I'm trying- oh,
Is that the, is that?
Here we go.
No,
These
is
are the,
that- there's that.
Yeah, so there's a map that shows all the different locations. What number is that? I just can't see it.
I have a copy of the full report here if anyone wants to see. Here's the,
we
Is
just
this a monopole?
Where you are with that.
show where it is.
130? Yeah.
180, but we're trying to work to bring it down.
Those are
That's
down
coming
here.
north of
That's
Sonic, that's where you get off. And then you
Oh, yeah.
Camp Fire, you go the other way.
So
That's
51,
where that-
yeah,
So
that's exactly
Taconic
right. It's
is-
right when you
So
go
that's
to
the same.
So that's the
Visible.
Taconic, okay? And where is
Let's see the pictures of the balloons.
100?
So what we did is,
Route 133.
this map here shows the areas where the topography would block it, where it would likely be visible and not visible.
And so this is probably what
What kind of balloon did you put up? I was trying to do a project recently, get a 300-foot balloon, and I couldn't get one.
The tower's there.
Just curious, where, did you do
So
that yourselves, or did you
133
use?
So we have a company in
Oh,
Saratoga that
this is
specializes in this, and
this
they
is
put up a
north.
5
This
foot
is
like
north.
one
Oh,
of
the
those.
other side,
Taconic.
It's a big
okay.
rubber balloon.
This is
About
133,
4 or 5
this
feet in
is
diameter.
133, 100.
100.
But
And
when
this
they,
is Camp
when they
Fire.
rendered the tower, the balloon is just like a reference point. When they rendered the tower, they used the computer to know exactly the height and location
So
of the
it's
tower.
literally between the
Very visible.
power lines and.
Is that,
and,
the red dot's the tower, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, these are the angles. So it's literally between the Con Ed lines and the Taconic.
Just the V's are intended to show what
The range.
locations were actually
Oh, no.
simulated in the package. So anywhere where there's actually
Is there
simulation
any
done, the
camouflage
trains
on
are
the tower to hide anything?
Right now, we're proposing it just as the standard monopole and painting it, or using galvanized to blend into the background. I think when you look at all the visuals, there's a few that it's visible, but all the residential areas, it's not visible given the
All of them,
topography.
you know, off the highway.
Yeah, that's the one right off the highway.
That's the most visible view.
And this is the Conic North before you get off the Millwood, right?
Correct.
Right, that's the most visible view.
Are you proposing having this a certain color, or is it gonna be stainless steel?
So
color?
we're proposing the galvanized finish, which we find once it patinas is the best. Sometimes the painting makes it stand out actually. People think paint it the color of the sky or paint it brown. Sometimes that works. Usually though, particularly with all the Con Ed towers, try and stay that same galvanized finish and once it
Well, like he
patinas.
likes the tree, I don't.
Yeah, but on here, we're starting to get.
The tree's really controversial.
I don't like the tree.
Yeah, sure, sure.
One thing to point out too, we did the visuals with all 4 licensed carriers.
increases the profile.
Even though there's only 2 on the application, we did the visuals with 4.
At the moment, there's only 2.
Right, so future growth, so we wanted to make sure that we
Understood.
represented.
And I tend to agree with you, once that galvanized goes gray, it's more like an Ansel gray, which kind of disappears into the background.
You know, it's like they say, like, the US Navy,
Not visible.
they use gray.
Is this like a hill?
Battleships
This is,
disappear,
my
yes.
friend's,
you know.
this is from
My
Facebook.
house.
Weird as that seems, but
It disappeared.
I won't say
Let me,
The Ansel gray kind
I
of
think-
disappears, it's a
I think,
natural,
for
Oh,
what we
it
it's
can,
will
picked
be-
up by the eye and
it'll be
just
visible
goes
for
away.
ball fields,
Most
yeah.
of your graphic arts use an Ansel gray background, so that whatever is being displayed is prominent.
Yeah.
Whenever
So
you
by
get like
painting
sky
Ansel
behind
gray,
it.
Yeah.
it's like doing flat black on a ceiling, when you look up, you don't see it.
So just curious for our discretion, do we have any, because we went through this once before when there were a lot of people in the community who were up in arms. I'm just trying to understand the dynamics here. And there aren't, has there been any community opposition? I'll ask all of you too, it's
we
quiet here
had
tonight.
one person write an email, but quite frankly, I think she was at viewpoint either 7 or 8, and you can't see it from our house, so we have.
So it looks like it'll be a little visible from driving around the community, but not from anybody's home.
Correct, and I think the places where it's most visible from
It's not really
is generally where those Con Ed lines are.
Right, the
or right
Con Ed
next to
lines.
us.
How do you say what the difference is, right? You can't quantify the difference when you have all the
Right,
power lines.
when you already have all the power lines.
It's true.
You know, it's
That's why we
it's
chose
just
this
kind
spot.
of part
That
of
is true. Yeah,
the,
it's
part
true.
of the
That's why we
landscape
picked this
there.
spot.
That is
Plus
true.
it's the town property, but it was next to the power lines was really the.
And the cable towers are ominous there as it is.
It is true.
Yeah.
It's funny, I never realized how much this one was visible. And it's really only, you get to town hall and you don't see it on
Yeah,
the
it's
ridge line,
really-
you
Yeah,
see
it's
it
true,
when
in
you're
that
coming down
context, yeah.
Exactly.
120.
They all disappear in the background eventually.
That was really the funnest part of it.
I know, that's
No
weird.
other
When the
property
first one went up on the
like
hutch,
this,
right by the
would be
gas
further from
station,
home.
everybody noticed it. 10 years later, you drive by, you don't even know it's there.
And that's
Yeah,
100.
true.
And the high school, that one they put up the fake Christmas tree.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
would've been better off without the tree.
I'm with you, but not everyone agrees.
I don't actually, it's so against everything else I
polarizing.
feel about architecture, but I think it's better with the trees than natural.
I think there's a spot for it, like we did one at the yeshiva. And that one works as the tree, because the few places where you do see it, you see it along the reservoir. And the way it's situated in the woods at yeshiva, I think the tree works there.
What throws it off is its height. You know, the tree line is lower, but trees grow in different sizes.
It's the perspective too.
Yeah.
It's the angle.
Oh, they're all.
Yeah, I don't know what,
Make sure we don't see it, but still.
I mean, do you know, which ones are the worst views, or are they?
I think
in the front,
51.
I think.
51 is probably, so the first pictures are just the pictures, and
This
then,
one?
The
and then where the
simulations are all
fold outs are the
Oh, no, but,
simulations.
If I could just show you. So, all the simulations, the ones referenced with the V on the satellite
Right,
images,
right,
they're all in the back. And generally, we try to simulate the worst case scenario ones,
Alright,
because it's obviously hard to simulate through trees anyway.
So this one?
Somewhere in the back.
And we don't have a flat roof.
You guys were listening to
Sure don't wanna build one?
Beneath John Face.
It's building.
balloons on this.
Yeah, I'm talking about, it. So I have nothing to do with it.
Just a little bit of history too is, I'm from the area and I actually know Millwood very well. I spent a lot of time there and we've been looking at this area for over 10 years now to try and find the right location. Code pushes us to Schuman Road. And we think this is much better. We think it's much better technically, and we think it's much better from a visual perspective and from where most people in the community are. So, and the fact that it's on municipal property, I think is also an additional benefit of control for the town and public safety use in the future, et cetera. So I'm really, it's been a long haul, 10 years is a long haul, but I think we're really happy. It was a long process with the town board, but we're really happy that we found a location that we think works with the area.
Well, this is pretty much undevelopable, this area where you're going into. You've got an aqueduct, you've got a campfire club that's been there historically forever and has no plans of selling out.
They just redid their.
It's beautiful.
Is it beautiful?
It's awesome.
They
Their
have a
log cabin, you know, 60 by 60.
Yeah, we think it's
And then you have the towers.
Yeah,
The
in other words,
power
this
lines
is,
that
Yeah.
people don't
see, here's
necessarily
where
want.
there's a red dot.
The power lines have become
Gordon's
innocuous
Terrace.
after so many years of
And then-
driving by them.
But
They're-
these
People
show
don't
the
wanna
worst,
live by.
they're basically showing the worst case
True enough.
scenarios. They're
So that limits development as
Yeah.
well.
park, or you can see by the way the tower lines, yeah, yeah.
I have to, notice it amongst the power lines, so that's good.
And what was it, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the cell reception in that side of town was very poor. I used to somewhat stand on my deck to get reception. But it's improved, no, really, but it's improved a lot, so I didn't, you know.
Well, we also just built,
improved everywhere.
just over the border in Yorktown. Do you know where, 100 and I think it's 134 split over there? Just over the Yorktown border, there's Dell Avenue along the power lines there. And we just developed a site there, that actually will hand off and really create good coverage.
You have a nice corridor now.
Yeah, so now, basically, this really fills in the whole area from Briarcliff all the way up through Yorktown, and that's really important.
And public safety had a problem. They really came out in support,
But
because
just
they had,
T-Mobile on 18.
they had a problem.
No, so.
It serves as
So
for
no,
other,
we,
for all of.
we're a developer for everyone, we know Verizon needs this site as well, we've been in communication with them.
I see.
And the site that we just developed to the north in Yorktown, that this hands off to, will have public safety on it, because they had a significant need there. And it's gonna have Verizon and T-Mobile and probably AT&T eventually as well. So we're creating the infrastructure that's needed to fill in those remaining holes and really get that quality of signal to the public.
And structurally, it'll be designed to support all the carriers, inclling public
I know,
safety,
you
so
and I
there's
have
not
to-
another application for a tower right next to it.
And that's why we simulated all 4 carriers, because that's what we hope will happen.
And the town has free use of the top of this tower.
Let me ask a question. Whether or not we approve or disapprove, this goes through because it's a required entity.
It's a public utility.
Yeah.
The municipality cannot prohibit this type of use.
This is being polite and saying this.
And that's really where I'm
No, I
leaving
mean,
that,
I
you know.
think you
So
do
this is a
have,
planning
you
board
do
referral.
have, it's a planning board referral, there is a process. The planning board, I can tell you, is thoroughly looking at all of the site plan issues, the stormwater issues, the wetland issues, the tree removal issues.
That we would have.
They want us to put up a bond for planting of trees in the Millwood area, so there'll be an off-site benefit. They want us to put up wetland, even though we're in the wetland buffer, the wetland is the drainage ditch. But they want us to, rather than try and do something on this site, because it's not very functional, do something to improve the wetland function over at Gedney Park. So with an approval, this will have some off-site benefits to the community unrelated to the cell service, which we think is a good
Well,
thing.
and to answer your question, I think legally we have very strong rights, obviously.
And I read that
But-
part, yes.
But I've looked for 10 years to find the right, what we feel is the right site. for this
Well, that's
area.
a
And I
technological
think,
choice.
so I think what I'm saying is, yes, we have a lot of rights legally, but we're trying to do this the right way.
Oh, and you wouldn't be here if you weren't. You would
Right.
just bulldoze your way through and it's going here no matter what.
We're putting an access drive in, which the town will get benefit of if it builds its salt shed on the property, and there's the access for the water district. So there's all, obviously the rental goes to the town as opposed to a private landowner. I mean, there's a lot of collateral benefits to this particular project.
And we're really pleased that from residential neighborhoods, it's not very visible, and that was important too. And
That's a strong criteria
Yeah.
here, yes.
So, and I think for the hamlet itself of Millwood, this is a better fit.
Yeah, because this is a light industrial, if you will, down in this area with all those heavy power lines, there is some industry. So
Then
it
you have
will
the
blend
DOT
better.
Yeah, but we're not in the hamlet, as Manny said, like, we're not right there.
No.
We're on the outskirts, so to speak. So we'd like your
What
approval.
is the group's views, some of us have talked, but in terms of decorating this or leaving it as exposed natural?
Leaving it.
I'd say leaving it, leaving it, yes.
Okay, test,
I'm not a fan of the trees.
for democracy.
Well, thank you for the time. We apologize not being here last time, but we wanted to get this done.
Yeah, I think it's a very good designs and ours, handsome.
It's pretty thorough, yeah.
Something that's.
All right, thanks so much.
It's the intent, it's all about setting.
It's all about setting, and unfortunately what tends to happen is once you go to a certain height, it's very hard to hide.
To hide.
And that's really, and a lot of people say it's better not to, because you're just drawing more attention at that
I agree.
height. So,
So the last planning board I was at, they got into the 5G stuff. Are you guys thinking about that in the future as well?
This will support that technology.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the reasons why
I know
we need to enhance the coverage and the strength of the signal, really, so that we can support future technologies.
Exactly, and that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
5G is more pieces, more elements around, much smaller net, or whatever.
Wasn't the 5G coming
Cell
soon?
technology
Well,
is not.
I mean, we all have
It's
to
being
adapt
tested.
to it.
It's
We all
being
have to
tested.
get new phones.
It's being
but-
tested in certain markets, and
Real estate
it will,
people,
there's no stopping.
Yeah,
Sell out people and stuff.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you.
Take care, have a good evening.
I saw you taking a picture, do you just want a copy of the report?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, have a good
I
night.
have my house in here.
There you go.
Show my wife what the view looks like.
So we're all getting the planning.